Let's make some biscuits. You got to have white lily flour. I use self-rising for biscuits. And I still use Crisco and whole buttermilk when I make my biscuits. Some of you tell me not to use Crisco and that I need to be using lard. So I went and bought some. I just didn't want to try it yet. But just so you know, the flour is not negotiable. It has to be white lily, and I'm not going to make it with anything else. So I'm just taking that Crisco and greasing my pan. And then I'm going to take a little bit of Crisco in my hand, probably like a golf ball or an egg size amount. And then take that flour and make like a hole in it. Put the Crisco down in there and then fill that hole up with buttermilk. And what I'm doing right here is just kind of breaking up the Crisco into little bits. And once I get it broke up a little bit into the buttermilk, I just start pulling flour into it. The buttermilk doesn't mix into the flour unless you pull it into it. So when you get done making biscuits, you can save whatever flour is left in that bowl. That's why it's hard to give you any measurements, because I just pour flour in a bowl. And I pour more than I'm going to need. And then I just put it back in the bag. I did do my video a little bit slower this time so y'all could see what I meant when I say pulling in the flour. You just kind of run your hands along the edge and it pulls in a little bit of flour and as needed, and then you stop doing that when your dough gets thick enough. I'm going to speed the video back up now. Somebody said last time I posted my biscuits that I was copying Miss Brenda Gant. But y'all, people in the South have been making white lily biscuits with Crisco and buttermilk since the 1800s, okay? I love Miss Brenda Gant, but I learned how to make biscuits from my mom and daddy, and they probably learned from their grandparents and parents. And white lily's actually been around since the 1800s, and people have been using it for biscuits and doing it just like this. But once you get your dough kind of thick enough, in fact, mine wasn't. That's why I'm having to add some more flour while it's on the counter. But I just flour the countertop and then put the dough out on it and pat it around. And you got to have flour on your hands and on the top of that dough because it's very sticky. But then you just use a biscuit cutter. You don't twist the biscuit cutter. You just press straight down. And then get your biscuits into your pan, and you're going to put these in the oven. I do mine on 475, sometimes 500. It makes them rise quicker and just be fluffier. This night I had some pork chops and gravy over some mashed potatoes. There ain't nothing like a homemade biscuit to sop up that gravy. I love you. Stay classy.